You ever feel like you're doing everything right? You're counting every single calorie, you're hitting the gym, but the scale just doesn't move? Yeah, it's an incredibly frustrating story, and it's one a lot of us know well. But what if I told you the real key to your health goals isn't hiding in your calorie counting app? What if it's actually all about a powerful hormone that's the master conductor of your body's energy? Let's dive in and finally bust this diet myth. And hey, this isn't just some fringe idea. The tide really is turning. Metabolic scientist Dr. Benjamin Bickman was looking at a survey where people were asked about diet changes, and calorie control was ranked dead last. And you know what? He was thrilled. It's a huge sign that people are finally starting to question that old, way too simple model that's left so many of us feeling like failures. The conversation is changing, and for good reason, because the old advice just hasn't worked. I mean, think about it. For over half a century, this has been the only advice we've gotten, right? Eat less, exercise more. It's this purely thermodynamic idea that treats the human body like it's just a simple furnace. You put calories in, you burn calories out. But our bodies are so much more complex than that. And this advice has, for most people, just led to a cycle of hunger, frustration, and feeling defeated. Okay, so here is some cold, hard evidence that the whole "a calorie is a calorie" thing is a myth. Researchers took two groups of people. They gave them meals with the exact same number of calories and the exact same amount of protein. The only difference? One meal was high carb, the other was high fat. And the results? They were absolutely stunning. The folks who ate the high fat meal, their metabolic rate was way higher for hours afterward. Their bodies were literally burning more energy just sitting there. This proves that the type of calorie you eat completely changes what your body does with it. So, if it's not just about calories, then what is it about? Well, the answer really comes down to one single hormone that's running the whole show. Let's talk about insulin, the true master conductor of your body's energy orchestra. Now, most of us think of insulin as just the thing that manages blood sugar, right? But that's just scratching the surface. In reality, insulin is the one metabolic hormone to rule them all. It's the boss. It gives orders to every single cell in your body, from your brain cells to your bone cells, and it tells them exactly what to do with energy, specifically whether to burn it or to store it. And to really hammer home just how powerful this hormone is, get this. Dr. Bickman says with total scientific certainty that if you could magically remove all insulin from a person's body, it would be completely 100% impossible for them to get fat. Doesn't matter if they ate thousands and thousands of calories. Insulin isn't just a player in fat storage, it is the gatekeeper, period. So, how does this actually play out in real life? Well, let's walk through this vicious cycle. You eat a high-carb meal, some pasta, some bread, whatever. That causes a huge spike in your insulin. Insulin's job is to store energy, so it starts aggressively shoving all that fuel from your blood into your fat cells for safekeeping. Well, now the energy that's actually available in your bloodstream suddenly plummets. Your brain, which needs that energy to function, feels starved. And what does a starving brain do? It panics. It hits the big red alarm button and screams at you, "Eat, eat now." And this is what creates this maddening, totally unfair paradox. You could have hundreds of thousands, even millions of calories of energy already stored in your body fat. I mean, enough to live on for weeks. But because high insulin has locked all that energy away, your brain is absolutely convinced that you're starving. So get this. Hunger isn't always a sign that you need more energy. It's often just a signal that your insulin is too high to let you access the energy you already have. Okay, so if high insulin is the lock on our fat cells, how do we find the key? Well, that brings us right here. It's time to learn how to unlock those fat stores and finally tap into the fuel you've already got on board. The solution is actually beautifully simple. Now, that doesn't always mean it's easy, but it is simple. If you want to access and burn your stored body fat for energy, you have one primary mission. You have got to lower your insulin levels. That's it. That's the master switch. And when you do that, when you successfully get your insulin levels down, you kick off this incredible process called lipolysis. Sounds fancy, I know, but lipo just means fat, and lysis means to break apart. It is literally the biochemical signal telling your fat cells to finally open their doors, break down that stored fat, and release it back into the bloodstream so your body can use it as fuel. And the effect isn't just powerful, it's incredibly fast. Check this out. In one study, they took people with fatty liver disease and put them on a low-carb diet. In just 1 week, with no change in their calories, by the way, they slashed the amount of fat in their livers by around 60%. That's how quickly your body can flip from fat storing mode to fat burning mode once you just get insulin out of the way. And when your body starts burning all that fat, it's not just disappearing into thin air, it's being converted into something pretty amazing, a clean, efficient, and really powerful alternative fuel source. So it's time we talked about ketones. So what in the world are ketones? Simply put, they're these little molecules that your liver makes when it's just burning a whole lot of fat. But here's the really exciting part. Research is showing that ketones are actually the brain's #1 preferred source of fuel. And the benefits are just profound. It's not just the brain's favorite fuel. Ketones are also a super fuel for the heart. They're famous for crushing hunger and cravings, which is an absolute game changer. But there's more. They can improve anxiety and depression, give you incredible mental clarity, and even triple the metabolic rate in your fat tissue. It's basically a total system upgrade. Now, this all creates what scientists call a metabolic advantage. And it's as cool as it sounds. When you're in this low insulin ketogenic state, your body becomes almost wasteful with energy, but in a good way. Every time you exhale, you are literally breathing out ketones. You're also urinating them out. And what are ketones? They're calories. Calories that are just leaving your body without you having to painstakingly burn them off on a treadmill. Okay, the science is fascinating, right? But what do we actually do with all this information? Let's break down a simple, practical daily plan to put all this insulin control stuff into action without ever having to think about a single calorie. This quote from Dr. Bickman really sums up the entire strategy. Don't start out by trying to fight a war against your own hunger. Trust me, that's a battle you're eventually going to lose. Instead, your very first step should be a simple one. I am just going to lower my insulin. Because when you do that, hunger stops being the enemy. All right, here's the daily protocol. It's super straightforward. First, for breakfast and lunch, you're going to go low to no carb. Focus on protein and fat, and try to make lunch your biggest meal of the day to keep you full. Next, try to get in some resistance training, and if you can do it fasted, even better for your metabolism. Then, for dinner, you get to relax. Have a normal meal with your family, carbs included. Social connection is huge. And finally, and this one is critical, stop eating after dinner. This is going to prevent those late-night glucose spikes that can just totally wreck your sleep and metabolism. It's a plan built around your hormones, not around deprivation. So let's just end with this thought. We have been taught our entire lives to see hunger as this urgent, non-negotiable command that we have to obey immediately. But what if it's not? What if hunger is simply a message from your hormones? A message that, now that you understand the science, you actually have the power to change.